Call to order a meeting of the Finance Committee, and on the agenda is to approve the minutes from our last meeting of August 28th, 25.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are adjourned.
We will officially call to order the JWB meeting at this time, and Mr. Ants, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to start with acknowledgements with the KidsFirst Cooperman Bowl Award.
Good afternoon, Karen Bogus, Chief Operating Officer. And this afternoon, we have the honor of our final KidsFirst awardee of 2025, an outstanding teacher who consistently goes above and beyond putting children first. And so if Johanny Christostomo can please stand. So she is an infant toddler teacher at our club Early Learning Academy. And for 17 years, and yes, I said 17 years, she has poured her heart into creating an environment where little ones can grow, thrive, and build the foundation for lifelong learning. Johanni's journey is inspiring. She started with just a high school diploma and a love for children. And over the years, while raising her own family, she earned her CDA credential, then her associate's degree with honors, and most recently, her bachelor's degree in early childhood education leadership, summa cum laude. There you go. And she did this all while working full-time and mentoring others. She excels at creating a safe, nurturing, and stimulating environment for the children, using play and structured activities based in age-appropriate curricula. Johanni fosters their social, emotional, and cognitive development, and her team lovingly refers to her as the toddler whisperer. One child in foster care since birth came to her absolutely full of energy, but lacking self-regulation skills. And where others might see challenges, Johanni saw only opportunity. And with calm guidance and disciplined strategies, she helped him learn to manage his emotions and thrive in the classroom. And Johanni's impact is felt daily as she builds trust, not only with her littles, but also with the families she serves, ensuring every child feels safe, seen, and celebrated. And so please join us in congratulating Johanni.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am going to say thank you for nominating me. This is an experience that I'm going to keep in my heart forever. Thank you to our club for this opportunity. This is something big for me. This is something that goes beyond. I am so overwhelmed with joy, and I will promise this is a commitment. As a teacher, you made a commitment. Okay, and I will keep that commitment until I live. This is a commitment that will go throughout my life. And I promise you, I will teach with love, care, and compassion for the time well-being. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone that's here. Thank you, thank you.
We have three consent items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we will go down the action items, and we may have to skip around, so forgive me, but we can start off with the approval of the community council appointments with Ms. Garcia and Ms. Roy.
Good afternoon. Yaridis Garcia, I'm the Community Engagement Manager, and it is my pleasure to introduce a candidate for the Mid-County Community Council. Her name is Jessica Conway. She's an experienced early childhood educator with over 12 years of dedication to fostering the growth and development of young learners. As a certified Presidium Guardian, she is committed to maintaining the highest standards of safety, accountability, and protection in all the work that she does with children. Her passion for helping others shines through in every aspect of her career, from creating engaging learning environment to supporting families and mentoring fellow educators. Jessica values fostering curiosity, encouraging confidence, and establishing lasting educational foundations. She's not here with us today, but I just want to appoint Jessica for the Mid-County Community Council, and I'm introducing Kelly Roy for the South County.
Good afternoon, Kelly Roy with South County. I'm here to introduce not one, but two, but three new council members for your appointment. The first I have today is Ms. Deneen Wyman, who is here in the back. Ms. Senine has been employed with Pinellas County Schools for 24 years. She also serves at the Pinellas County School District in Human Resources and Strategic Partnerships, where she is currently the senior coordinator. Ms. Wyman is committed to children and families in Pinellas County, and she is mother to 3 children of her own, ages 21, 10, and 1 years old. Then next we have Michael Flores. He is not here today. Michael Flores is the Director of Program Services at Pinellas County Housing Authority, where he leads initiatives and supports residents in achieving stability and growth. He is born and raised in Pinellas County and is deeply committed to strengthening his community and fostering partnerships that expand to vital services. His passion lies in creating opportunities that help others reach their fullest potential. And then last but not least, we have Miss Mary Beth Hepburn, who is here in the back. She is the founder and executive director of Empowering Families Incorporated, a nonprofit focused on connecting families, youth, and underserved populations with vital resources. Over the past few decades, she has experience in community outreach and education and is a commissioned chaplain in Pinellas County. She brings both her heart and leadership to all the work she does, and she is extremely enthusiastic about creating spaces where people feel empowered and connected. Thank you.
Move approval of the community council appointments.
Seconds?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. Next, we'll have Ms. Garcia come on back up to do the approval for Ms. Carol B. Miller's Mid-County Community Council legacy.
Carol B. Miller was a compassionate and dedicated leader who spent over 26 years making a lasting impact on the lives of children and families in Pinellas County. As a valued member of the Mid-County Community Council, she was known for her authenticity, passion, and unwavering commitment to improve the lives of others. In recognition of her extraordinary contributions and in memory of her enduring legacy, the Mid-County Community Council has voted to recommend to the Juvenile Welfare Board that all council-hosted and facilitated events be named in her honor. This tribute ensures that her name and spirit continue to inspire the community she so deeply cared for. Additionally, to keep her mission at the heart of their ongoing work, the Council will include a standing agenda item at their monthly meetings titled Carol B. Miller's Champion for Families. This gesture serves as a lasting reminder of her tireless advocacy and her profound difference she made in countless lives. Carol B. Miller's legacy will live on through these honors and the continued efforts of those she inspired to serve.
Madam Chair, I just want to thank you, and I want to thank Mr. McCurack and Ms. Garcia and our whole entire team for the beautiful tribute that you all paid to Carol back at our July meeting. Obviously, none of us could have known that we would lose her so soon after that, but it's so important to give people their flowers in life. And it was just, I think, incredibly meaningful to her and her family and to all of us who have known and loved her for so many years. And I thank you again. I know it's very difficult for everybody, but this is one of those things where it will keep her legacy and her spirit inspiring people for years to come, which is something that is going to be really beneficial to the community. So I move approval.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. McCurry.
I think, as you all know, excuse me, that the family had asked for donations to be made to the Juvenile Welfare Board in memory of Carol. We received $1,400 worth of donations for that. And what I'd like to be able to say is that we take that $1,400 and provided for mainly the Christmas, which was her thing. She would fund the Christmas program where they would bring in children from the community that they would adopt, if I remember correctly, and have a dinner and have Santa and others come and give the gifts. So I will take this $1,400 and give it to the community council to be used on her, in her name.
Sounds like a great idea.
And I will send the invite, mark the calendar. It's scheduled for Wednesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. at the Public Works Building in Pinellas Park.
Thank you. We're going to skip down to the ratification of the Finance Committee recommendations from August the 28th of this year, Mr. Stivers.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. On August 28th, the Finance Committee convened, and we had the following action items on there. One of the approval of the budget changes. And these were the budget changes since the board met on July the 24th. Revenues, changes to revenues, the net effect was $964,000. $810,000 of that was for changes in fund balance. As you all are aware, JWB, through board initiative, has made a focused effort to spend down fund balance, and there's more evidence that that's occurring. There was a transfer of $104,000 to make up the difference, the budgeting difference, for the fee that we pay Pinellas County to collect our ad valorem taxes. And then another $50,000, a decrease in interest income. That decrease is largely a product of our fund balance decreasing, so we have less to invest. And that makes up the net effect to revenues about $964,000 less. Expenses, a net effect of expenses is a reduction of $243,000. The administrative expenses, this is a decrease from the removal of our Chief Communications Officer position that was never filled, and the adjustments to fringe benefit elections of $270,000. Program continuation. This is a program support. These are the initiatives that JWB does and has. There's about 6 of them. And this is adjustments to the benefits. And then we had a carryover for the capital RFA. That's requests for applications. That's for the one-time capital and technology funding that we do. We're getting ready to go out for the next year's soon after this board meeting. Of $66,000, so the net effect there of $243,000 in expenses. Any questions on that? Just a quick overview of the summary of the budget. The 26 budget, as you can see, total revenues $114 million. Down here, total expenses of $128 million. So as you can see, our expenses will exceed our revenues. And how do we offset? Well, we offset in planning for strategically to spend down fund balance. We're anticipating about almost $11 million in lapse to occur that will add to our fund balance. And the unassigned piece of that, meaning that we don't have to dip into strategic reserves, is about $6.6 million. So that continues to decrease. We'll see more charting on that as we go through the presentation. This is the revenues. The revenues there, as I told you, $114 million. Total revenues and fund balance is $42 million. About $33 million of that is made up with a restricted fund balance by policy that we have to keep on hand. And then I'll get to the expenses in just a minute, but I wanted to show you this. This is in your package. And this is the breakdown of the funding that we provide to our agencies. About $112 million worth of spend. So they're all listed here. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. It's very sensitive. And then it's even broken down in another section just below it, and it's alphabetized. And this will be in your budget book that you'll get. And this is the those list of those agencies being alphabetized. So it's really easy to follow. It shows the different programs along with the agencies that we're funding and how much we fund to them. So I think it's very beneficial information to have. And then the last item, this is more the alphabetation of those agencies. Scroll down here. And then the last item are the administrative expenses. This is what JWB has to operate on. Salaries and benefits in total about $9.5 million. We break down the operating cost of about a little over $1 million. Building services, about $965,000. Training expenses, $323,000. And other operating of roughly $58,000 for a total of $2.4 million. So it makes up a total budget, administratively speaking, of just a little bit less than $12 million for the operation of JWB. The non-administrative are pieces that involve the statutory fees. These are largely made up of the revenues that we pay Pinellas County to collect our ad valorem taxes. Technology fees, these are largely licenses. As you can see, that has dropped significantly. We brought on some major softwares last year, and we're starting to stabilize those, and each year you'll see that figure go down unless we get other softwares that we have to have. And then we have the non-administrative. This is performance management. This is how we're managing some of the performance data that you see on our agencies and stuff. And last year we didn't spend any of that, but we do plan to spend some this year, for a total of non-administrative government expenses of about $3.4 million. This is just a breakdown of the budget forecast that you've seen. As you can see, it's a multi-year. And targets that I keep an eye on as CFO, we have a target here of our administrative costs that we just went over. And by board policy, we need to keep that at 10% or less. Right now, all in, that's roughly 8.8%. So we're well within the range of the target there. And then the 25% target here, and this is what we kind of keep on hand for the operating, assigned operating funds that we are required to keep on hand for unknowns. It could be interruptions in revenue. It could be a hurricane event, heaven forbid. But we're required by policy to keep 25% of our expenses on hand for that. And then finally, this is the unassigned fund balance. I apologize, it is so small, but it is in your packet if you're interested in looking back at that. But this is the amount that we have that's unassigned. This is really revenues that JWB has in the event that it could spend before it had to go into its restricted revenues. Always a good idea to keep some of that on hand. You'll see more about what that balance is a little more legibly as we get into the presentation. But those are 3 or 4 things that I keep an eye on in addition to monitoring spend and how quickly and timely we see revenues, et cetera. And then the last item for the ratification for the Finance Committee was the approval of the funds transfer from the vacant community alliance position budget to JWB salary reserve to the Pinellas County tax assessor. We were off, as I mentioned, a little bit of money, $161,000 or so, in order to shore that budget up to make sure that we have enough to pay that full fee. That's a variable fee. You all have heard me talk about that before. From year to year, it fluctuates based on the collection rate of the county. So that is a really quick overview of the Finance Committee agenda and the approval that came out of that. And there are action items, Judge Moore, that are associated with it.
Are there any questions for Mr. Stivers before I ask for a motion? Do I have a motion of approval?
So move.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Stivers, since you're up there, do you want to go to your next presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So this was a follow-up to questions posed during our preliminary hearing about 2 weeks ago. And the questions were related to the initiatives that JWB has, and those were initiatives for programs that we offer. And there are 14 employees that tied to those initiatives. And those employees are in that budget for those programs. The job descriptions for those positions are also specific to that program. So if the initiative ever went away, certainly we would look at ways to reorganize and reallocate the human resource piece of that, but we'd have to change the job description too. So just to give you a quick overview, the cost reimbursement programs, and that's the bulk of the spend that we have, where agencies incur the cost per their contract, and then they'll send in the invoice, and each month our program finance unit will vet those invoices and make a decision whether they're compliant with the contract or not, which they usually are, and then we process payment on it. And I've even broken it down percentage of total expenses for the $101 million there. It's roughly 78% of the total expenses that we have, and a percent of total revenue and fund balance is about 65% or so. Then there are the direct programs. These are the 14 employees we have, roughly the 6 initiatives that we do. And the SG&A, salary, general, and administrative expenses, what that stands for, are basically the cost associated with those 14 employees, including benefits, including retirement, including FICA, including unemployment, and all those other things that we're required to pay. So it's about 1.5% of the budget, and as a percent of total revenues, about 1.2%. The direct program cost of the administrative of those programs, the administrative cost is about $7.2 million, almost 6% of total expenses, and roughly 5% of the revenues. And then we have the capital RFA request for applications this year, subject to the approval later today, hopefully. About $2.5, almost $2.6 million dedicated to those one-time costs. New and expanded programs. These are programs to finish out our plan and also begin thinking about new initiatives that will be coming up, about $500,000 there, about a third of a percent of the total budget. Hurricane relief funds, $150,000. That's something that the board made a decision on about a year ago this time, which was a very trying time to make sure that we have funds available in the event of a storm. Administration, this is the administration costs that we talked about for JWB to operate. These don't include those 14 employees that are included up here on the second line. Almost $12 million in total budget there, a little over 9% of the budget, and as a percent of revenues, about 7.62%. The non-administrative costs include the fee that we pay to Pinellas County to collect those taxes, as well as the other costs that go into the IT costs that go into the non-administration budget. $3.4 million, about 2.18% of the total revenues that we have. Total expenditures, about $128 million. The ad valorem, we collected at 96% because not everybody pays their taxes or able to pay their taxes. And therefore, over time, we've noticed a history to that, so we always adjust for that as we begin to take in our revenues. The last thing I want to do is come back and say we're 4% short on revenues on a budget that's greater than $100 million. That would be very difficult to make up. Other revenues that we have is this largely interest income, and then we carry forward the beginning fund balance for a total revenues and fund balance of $156 million. I said a lot during that, so if you have any questions, please let me know.
You said you're going to talk more about the capital RFA later? Is that in the trim hearing, or?
We can talk about that then. We can talk about that now.
I was just curious.
Absolutely.
It's fine if it's part of your presentation.
No, I can get to it now. So each year, pending board approval and funding that's available, we put out requests for applications for agencies to propose projects to improve their facilities. It could be carpet and paint. It could be replacing a roof. It could be putting a heating and air conditioning system in it. It could be security. It could be IT upgrades. So it's all of that. We get those applications. Last year we spent a little over $3 million. We had about a $5.2 million budget, and we weren't able to award all of it. And we vet those to make sure that they are consistent with and making improvements on behalf of the programs and the contracts that we have with the agency, so we know we get a good bang for the buck in that regard. And then they're able to make those improvements, hopefully to improve safety, to improve the attractiveness of the program, as well as just do things to keep them operational too. So this process will kick off in September. We will evaluate applications toward the end of the calendar year, if not the first part of the new calendar year. And then we'll come back to the board for permission to award the projects and give the scoring and how we vet them and all that kind of thing. So more to come definitely on that. But as far as the budgeting piece of this is where this process starts with this approval, with this today, or anticipated approval. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Madam Chair? Yes. So Robbie, just going forward, you're going to make sure our P&L or budget shows the total administrative overhead, which includes the employees who are budgeted in the programmatic budget that have not been historically included in the total overhead, is that right?
Absolutely. And here's that percentage. As you can see, it's well below the 10% target that we're required, and I will definitely break that out differently in the future for you. Absolutely.
Brian, just to add to that, it was a great request by your part because we all didn't realize, to be quite honest with you, how that was split up in the past. And you're absolutely right, it needs to be included as one, and we need to better understand. But again, from a programmatic perspective, as Robbie described, each one of those are programs that may change. And we'd have to readjust, and so employees could move to another program if that were the case. But just wanted to say it was a great catch, thanks. And Robbie, just one other thing, could you explain to the board the review team that looks at the capital program? What's it made up of? Who is it made up of?
So we have a review committee that we collectively use. Last year, we had some folks interested from outside that participated. This year, it's going to be mostly JWB employees that have served on that in the past, that's really familiar with how the RFP process works and how to go in and actually score these and break them down, compare them to the contracts that we have. It's really important that we follow what the board's approved in that regard, to make sure that we're not funding projects that aren't directly related to our programs, and certainly to the benefit of the participants that we serve within those programs. Sometimes when those that aren't familiar with that are on those committees, we lose some of that detail, and it becomes, I think, more of all of them have good needs, and it's hard to turn those down, but we have to prioritize how we do that and make sure we're funding the things consistent with how the board's approved them.
Any more questions? Thank you, Robbie.
I've got one more slide.
Go, oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go right ahead. Oh, Robbie, that is so small.
So this is a lot of detail. It's in your package, but these are the year-to-date, and this was as about the latter part of August, FY25 allocations and budget amendments that we've accomplished over this past year. And the BAs are budget amendments. The AA are allocation amendments. Budget amendments usually involve administrative costs for JWB. So we may find that we're short in our administrative costs and need to move money around, which the board policy allows us to do that. We also may find that in allocation amendments that a program has a surprise, whether it's being over budget or under budget or need to reallocate budget within the line items of their budget. JWB policy allows the CEO to approve up to $75,000 within those buckets, the administrative bucket, the program bucket, the non-administrative bucket, and we're able to reallocate money in that respect. And here's the ones that we've done so far throughout FY25. We keep a detailed list. This is more of a summary. It's got summary notes and stuff in front of you, but I'm glad to answer any questions in that regard.
Madam Chair. Yes. So this was another thing, Robbie, that was interesting to me. I have been on some boards in the past where there was a high CEO authority on budget amendments that didn't have to come to the board. And in some of those cases, there were some things that the board, probably should have looked at. I'm not saying any of that's ever happened to JWB. I personally, and I've talked to Mr. McCurrick about this has nothing to do with our current leadership. It's just more of a governance thing. I would personally be more comfortable if that 75 was lowered, because first off, I've been on the board for 14 years and I don't recall ever having a budget amendment denied by the board ever. So it's not like the board is stingy with budget amendments, but I just think from a transparency perspective, 75,000 in taxpayer dollars, particularly when you start seeing 69,000, 60,000, 70,000, 309. I'm not saying that those were done intentionally to avoid the board, but if someone wanted to do that, it would be very easy for someone to do that. And that's an issue I've seen in other boards, not at all this board, but other boards that I've been on. So I'm not saying we need to do that today, but maybe if we bring it back for discussion, that'd be something I'd like to see.
Go ahead, Ms. McCurry.
No, we did speak about it. While I'm the interim chair, I have no issue with that. In fact, everything that we've done so far, I've brought to the board, so I'm comfortable in doing that. I think it's a discussion the board needs to have and probably should be put on next month's meeting.
I agree.
And just kind of history of that, we raised that because of the hardships that we're going through was after the hurricanes. And COVID, mainly COVID really is where it kind of came from, because at that point, the threshold just wasn't high enough for decisions to be made, and the board couldn't meet in person. So that was raised at that time for that reason. And it might be something we want to think about too as we talk about lowering it, where we lower it to, because we want to make sure we're not in that position again where the board can't meet, which is required to meet in person, can't meet to make that decision to get that emergency fund done. So as we think about it next meeting and bring it back up on the agenda, we might want to take that into consideration.
Yeah, we could maybe make an exception for natural disasters or something like that. Like if it was in, I mean, I don't want to tie it to the governor's executive orders because those seem to go endlessly now. But I think we had a COVID, well, not COVID, but we've had some of these executive orders that last for a year or more. So I would probably tie it to maybe the first 90 days after a natural disaster, but I would still want the board to ratify it or to review it after the fact. And again, whatever that dollar amount is. So that's my position. And I'll always make myself available in an emergency to come meet if I need to, so.
Yes, I think it was COVID, the reason why we did up the threshold, because it was impossible. But yes, let's put it back on the agenda for next month.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. Next, I'm sorry, hit the button. Next, we will go to the election of our e-board officers and confirm appointments for the 26-27 year.
Okay, so in pursuit of the JWB bylaws, election of officers occurs at the September board meeting. The board must meet to elect the chair, vice chair, and secretary. Officers are to serve a two-year term, and are eligible for re-election for one additional successive term. So do I have a nomination for the chair?
I would like to nominate Chief Milligan.
Second. Yeah, second that.
Okay. All right. Any more nominations?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Christian Nate to fill his spot.
We're going down the list.
Going down the list.
We're going down the list.
Let's vote on one at a time.
Got to do one at a time, just for record purposes. So all in favor for Chief Milligan being the board chair?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations.
Okay, so I've heard that Bruce is recommending a vice chair being Christian Nage, is that correct?
Do we have any more nominations? Ms. Nage, would you like to accept the nomination or decline? I would accept it, thank you. All in favor of Ms. Nage being the vice chair?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations.
Okay, so let's then move on to the secretary. Do we have a nomination for the secretary?
Madam Chair, I'd like to renominate Mr. Bartlett.
Any more nominations? Would you like to accept or decline? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations.
So as a reminder, the JWB officers also serve as the officers of the Pinellas Corps Management Services, Inc., PCMS, to be confirmed at an annual meeting of PCMS meetings, which will be held in the spring of 2026. So now let's move on to to appoint the at-large members to the executive committee, with Ms. Nage now becoming the on the executive committee board. She would be there, so I'll need an appointment to replace her.
Nominate Judge Moore.
For nominations? I'll accept. Yes. All in favor? Any opposed? Congratulations.
Okay, so now we'll move on to the appointments of the Finance Committee, which should also be very interesting. Since Mr. Hendricks is the interim chair, do we have a nomination for the chair of the Finance Committee?
I'd like
Well,
to,
I think you need to nominate your 5 people first, and then out of the
Okay.
5 people
All right.
who you guys put on there, then you can pick a chair.
So then, okay.
So we
then
have
we'll do that.
5
So we
members
have 5 members of
plus the
this.
chief.
Plus the chief. So the superintendent is currently the interim. You have Chief Milliken would now become the exec officio. Commissioner Latvala, Mr. Brian Unks Jr., and Mr. Bartlett are currently on the chair, or on the committee. We would need someone, again, a nomination for the chair itself. And then we'll also need a nomination, and another member to that. So let's start with the chair.
Well, first, if the 4 people who are serving are all renominated and reappointed, then you would need to add the 5th member, and then out of those 5,
Okay.
appoint
Then back to the chair.
Mhm.
Okay, great. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so now we'll add the 5th member. Do we have a motion for a 5th member?
oh, I don't know. My light's just on.
So you have, 4 people that are on there.
We have 4 on there, plus we need another.
Okay, so you're looking for
I've
a
lost
5th.
count.
Right.
So if the 4 of you are willing to reserve and accept those nominations, that is fine, you may stay on.
I'll nominate Ms. McShay. She's looking like, yeah?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
accept.
Second.
Now
So,
we-
so I guess my motion is to reappoint the 4 existing members and add Ms. McShay as a 5th member.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So now we move on to the chair. Okay.
So the committee can appoint their chair either now or at the next meeting, whatever their pleasure.
That would just be the committee member's decision.
Correct.
I would say defer that to the committee here.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then we now have all the nominations then.
Are you sure?
I think.
So Brian, the only reason we have done that in the past at this meeting is so that whoever is the chair can coordinate with the CFO, the meetings and those kinds of things.
Okay. I would like to accept a nomination. I would nominate Mr. Hendrick. Would you like to stay on?
Was there a second, Madam Chair? Yes, I accept.
Second.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Congratulations. Next, we will go to the adoption of the JWB FY26 goals and objectives by Ms. Bogus.
Good afternoon again. Last year, new legislation was implemented, which mandates that special districts establish goals and objectives for each program and activity that it undertakes, as well as performance measures and standards to determine if the district's goals and objectives are being achieved. So last September, we came before this board with fiscal year 25 goals and objectives. We have to report those out on by December 1st, 2025. So today, before we start fiscal year 26, we're coming before you for the goals and objectives for fiscal year 26 that will be reported out by December 1st, 2026. So I know that I've been talking about 2 different fiscal years. The goals and objectives themselves remain the same in children and families being served, JWB program monitoring, the Turbo Babies Childhood Public Awareness Campaign, as well as the strategic plan. And if you all remember, we have delayed the strategic plan. So this is updated to reflect that we're looking at, by next September, having an approved plan for 2 years. So I'm asking for approval of these.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
We will go now to our presentations. We will have the Grand Families Events by Ms. Garcia and Ms. Lopez.
Good afternoon, Yeridis Garcia, Community Engagement Manager.
Mr. Lopez, forgive me.
And joining us today is, for this presentation is Jomar Lopez, Senior Strategic Researcher. We will share, I have the clicker, we will share data, events, service results, as well as the next steps for our grand families. These numbers represent grandparents raising their grandchildren in Pinellas County. But we also want to recognize the important involvement of extended family members, such as aunts, uncles, nieces, and siblings, which is why we use the term grand families. Before diving into the presentation, I wanted for you to take a moment and read this quote or testimonial from one of the grand families who came to the event. He shared with us that he was raising 2 grandsons and he recently lost his wife. Who always handled the services, and he has difficulty navigating the school system. Through one of our events, he was able to get the assistance that he needed. And he shared that the care and dedication shown to his family have been a true blessing. This testimonial illustrates one of the main reasons we organize these community gatherings. We collected and analyzed data from grand families who attended our events. Using this information, we implemented changes as moving the North County region location to Tarpon Springs to address transportation barriers. In addition to changing the event location, we introduced a shuttle service in South County and partnered with St. Pete Free Clinic to address food insecurity as identified in our analysis. These efforts also guided us in designing and promoting our events to increase access to resources and information, specifically in response to challenges related to food, clothing, children's behavior, and mental health. We strategically collaborated with multiple internal and external partners to share resources and information aimed at empowering our grand families. As a result, families reported increased access to nutritious food and a greater sense of community support. We collaborated with our Childhood Hunger Initiative and the St. Pete Free Clinic to provide boxes of food for each family to take home, in addition to the meals and the Kona ice cream they enjoy at these events. This gathering featured engaging games for children and wellness workshops for caregivers, with over 710 families attending these events. Through these efforts, our partnership had a direct and positive impact, enhancing both the well-being and connectedness of the families we serve. We also collaborated with our Youth Leadership Committee, who created bags of food, including recipes and fresh produce for any youth attending these events. We invited organizations that could assist families to obtain clothing for their families. Through our mental health initiative, families receive information regarding mental health, as well as facilitated stress relief exercises and techniques. We collaborated with the Pinellas County Emergency Management to provide each family with information regarding hurricane preparedness, hurricane kits, including a waterproof folder to save their key element or key documents in case of an emergency. We wanted to make sure families receive everything that they need in this event. Reaching over 700 grand families across the county was made possible through a strong collaboration and partnership. These partners not only provided spaces at not cost to us, but also contributed dedicated staff to support our events. Key collaborators included the Citizens Academy for Progress, the City of Pinellas Park, the City of St. Petersburg, and our community councils that leveraged their connections and influence in the community to increase outreach and participation, helping us engage more families. These collective efforts highlight the value and impact each community and each organization brought to supporting grand families across the county. Now, I would like to invite Yomar to share the results of this year's events. Yomar has played an essential role in our efforts and will provide insight into the outcomes and key achievements we have obtained this year.
Thank you, Jadidis. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Once again, I'm Jomar Lopez, the Senior Strategic Researcher here at the Juvenile Welfare Board. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the survey results of the evaluation that we conducted at all three of these grand families activities. This evaluation served three purposes. The first was to assess our reach and identify the caregivers that we recruited throughout these events. The second was to gather information about the challenges that these caregivers are facing throughout Pinellas County so we can guide future resource provision. And then the third is to simply assess the satisfaction to help guide us with future event planning. So as Jadidis mentioned, we had over 700 participants in attendance at these events, majority of whom were children. So what this tells us is that there are multiple children that these families are taking care of. And indeed, when you think about the resources that are provided at these events, such as the free haircuts, the children's activities, the face paintings, the bounce houses, rock painting, the Kona ice cream, and the food that we distributed as well during these activities, it shows that these caretakers are seeing these events as a place for resources, but also a place for respite. As you can see, 62% of our respondents attended the South County Grand Families activities with a robust participation still within Mid-County, and then we have some participation in North County as well. When we look at language, the flyers and the surveys were translated into Spanish and Vietnamese, originally in English, and we want to extend our appreciation and thank you to the Leoman and Asian Neighborhood Family Center for their help in translating the flyers and the surveys into Vietnamese. During these events, we also had Spanish interpreters available at all three of the events, and based on feedback from last year, we also had ASL interpreters present. As you can see, 93% of those surveyed responded in English, but we still captured those Spanish and Vietnamese communities that are predominantly within the Mid-County area. We asked what types of caregivers were present at these events, and as you can see, most individuals identified as a parent, with second leading is grandparent. This is a little lower from last year because you'll notice that we separated out great-grandparents. We were noticing that they weren't sure if to identify themselves as grandparent or as other, and so you'll see that about 3% of individuals identified themselves as great-grandparents. That means that these are great-grandparents taking care of their great-grandchildren. So it just demonstrates a little bit of the struggles that these families are dealing with and the generational gaps as well. For the community councils and the community engagement team, it's always important to look at the breadth of reach through these activities. And as you can see here, 29 unique zip codes were captured through these grand families activities, with most participation occurring in that 33705 zip code in the lower right-hand corner in blue there. That's representing 60% of all geographic zip codes within Pinellas County, which is quite astonishing, at least for me. I want to highlight North County, who moved their Grand Families event from last year to try and capture more representation within the area, and they were highly successful in that endeavor as they captured 3 to 4 additional zip codes as well. Nevertheless, we want to understand the breadth of reach between last year and this year. And between the last 2 years of Grand Families activities, the community councils with the community engagement team and all the resources here at JWB and all the guidance from the community at large were able to reach out to 41 unique zip codes within the county. That's representing about 85% of all geographic zip codes in Pinellas. As you can see, there's about 6 zip codes that still remain to be reached, and currently the community councils, along with the community engagement team, are strategizing how to tailor their outreach efforts into the pockets of needs within those zip codes. When it comes to marketing and advertising, we saw that more grassroots, low-cost efforts were the most successful, with flyers being the most frequently cited source. Other modalities included word of mouth through friends, family, neighbors, and spouses. Social media, specifically Facebook, was a powerful tool. We had assistance from our JWB-funded programs and agencies like Kinship and Tasco, and then there was the passerby. So since these events are happening in open space areas, you have community members driving by and walking by simply wanting to partake in the fun, which only highlights the impact of bringing these events to where the community is at. The community councils and community engagement team always wants to stay ahead of what are the challenges that Pinellas County families are facing. And as you can see here, the three most reported were food, clothes, and children's behavior. This is a little different from last year. Last year we saw academic support was a little higher compared to clothes. So what this tells us is that families are prioritizing more of those basic needs, food and clothes. With the children's behavior, what that's indicating to us is that these children are experiencing trauma-related symptoms from being taken away from their parents and acclimating to being with their grandfamilies. Other challenges that were reported by these families included parental conflict, time constraints, and also funding for education. Overall satisfaction was overwhelmingly high for these events. And the community was definitely vocal about what more we can do. That included more health-related services, more legal and financial support, and more child-focused activities. Regarding our returning participants, community engagement team, including myself as an evaluator, wanted to understand of those individuals who are coming back to these events, how many of them received services as a direct result of the Grand Family activity back in 2024. And we see that 31% reported that they accessed the survey as a result of participating in last year's Grand Families event. What service was that? Well, it included counseling and speech therapy, clothing and food, childcare, health screenings, and support services for families. So what does this mean for the Grand Families activities moving forward? Well, one, the community councils are highly effective in engaging their communities. So working towards strategizing on how they can expand to those zip codes not previously represented, using those outreach and recruitment modalities that are highly effective. And then naturally just continuous provision of resources to these communities, whether it's food distribution, clothes drive, counseling referrals, and more. This will simply increase ever more the high quality events into higher quality events. With that, I will pass the mic over to Jaridi so she can conclude our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jomar. We are already planning our next events. After reviewing our data, thanks to Jomar, and conducting a trend analysis, we know that the community wants to have these events because we've seen an increase in interest over the past 2 years. We are aiming to increase the number of attendees to approximately 853. We all were achievers. We know we are making a difference by bringing grand families together to access food, educational materials, and support networks necessary to raise thriving children. As demonstrated by the grandfather testimonial that I showed at the beginning, these resources helping to navigate the school system and access services for his grandchildren, highlighting the value of our collective efforts. If you have any question, we're here for it.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, thank you very much. Go right ahead, Ms. Chia.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, thank you for the presentation, both of you. That was very good. I was actually surprised to see great-grandparents on there. I was like, so that was kind of eye-opening for me. And I think that, you know, as there's a trend towards families and older grandparents and folks raising more children, I'm glad you guys are recognizing that and making an effort to see what that need is there. I think that's really important. So thank you for the presentation.
Ms. Chia, we are seeing more and more great-grandparents. They're bypassing the grandparents and going straight to the great-grandparents and a lot of things, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'm not Danielle Hintz. She is not feeling well today, so I will be stepping in for her part of the presentation, along with my co-presenter here, Yadidis Garcia. But before we get into the presentation, I have to share that our own Yadidis Garcia was recognized not once, but twice this past week in the community for her efforts in all of the community work she does. I mean, if there's a community event, Yaya is there. And so City of Largo recognized her, Mayor Woody Brown, at the last council meeting, recognized her, as well as the Hispanic Outreach Center. She received the Community Impact Award this past Friday. So kudos.
Congratulations.
And I'll just say, this room is named after both Ray Neary and Maria Edmonds, who are two board members that sat on this board for many years that I know Yaya directly worked with. And I know that they are beaming at the fact that all the work that she has continued to do in this community. So, okay. With that said, we are here to talk about the summer, the outreach and activities and events that JWB takes part in. And so you can move to the, I gotta move it. Okay, sorry, everyone. We do not slow down over the summer. Instead, we take those 10 weeks to ramp up our outreach into the community in a variety of ways. We collaborate internally among our initiatives, collectives, campaigns to get information, resources, and meet families where they are at. I think you heard that in the last presentation too. It's really important for us to get out and meet families where they are. We collectively tried to maximize reaching as many families as possible. So this first activity that we participated in is our book bus, which is part of our grade level reading campaign. Kudos to Brianna Ray, who leads that effort here at JWB. And we share the book bus on loan from Pinellas County Schools for 3 weeks every summer. The goal is to ignite the love of reading throughout summer break. Many of you all participated with the book bus, volunteering on it, as well as dignitaries, community partners, community council members, JWB staff, and just volunteers in general. And this year, with everyone's help, we had 81 stops from all the way from north part of the county in Tarpon all the way down to South St. Pete, serving over 5,300 children, of all ages, distributing over 10,000 books. So thank you to everyone who made this such a success. And if you didn't get to participate this year, I'm sure you'll have an opportunity next summer. This year, we also brought along the Summer Meal Mobile, that's what we called it, which accompanied the book bus at 46 sites. And this is recognizing that food insecurity is year-round and especially present over the summer when not every child gets to attend a summer program. And so we served about 4,000 children and their families with shelf-stable food and produce. We also distributed pamphlets and magnets with information about finding pantries, food pantries, with a QR code so families can find resources whenever they might be in need. And in addition, we had 3 food distributions at our large back-to-school events, which Yaya will talk about in just a minute. And thank you to St. Pete Free Clinic, who is our funded agency, one of our funded agencies for food, as well as our Childhood Hunger Initiative, led by Kristen Curley internally, for finding innovative ways to serve our families best. And here is a short video. Do I hit play? One more time?
Since 2018, the Juvenile Welfare Board's Summer Book Bus has combated summer learning loss across Pinellas County by giving away free books to kids. It's all part of JWB's Early Readers, Future Leaders grade level reading campaign, instilling a love of reading in kids of all ages. This year, we gave away over 10,000 books to over 5,000 eager young readers at 81 stops from South St. Pete to Tarpon Springs, at libraries, early learning centers, neighborhood family centers, and more. JWB also debuted the Meal Mobile, creating JWB-funded pop-up food pantries stocked by the St. Pete Free Clinic at 46 book bus sites along the way, and giving away nearly 4,000 boxes of shelf-stable food. Just like in past years, dedicated volunteers, including elected officials, JWB board, and legacy board members and more, joined us on the book bus to help kids pick out their very own brand new books. An awesome way to connect with the early readers of Pinellas. This year, with so many readers of all ages on the bus, we thought we'd ask, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book, really not as only a child, but for my children, was Goodnight Moon.
Captain Underpants.
Runaway Bunny.
Spider-Man one.
Dr. Seuss, all the way.
A Mario book.
The Junie B. Jones series.
A graphic novel.
The Little Engine That Could.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Curious George.
Three Blind Mice.
Where the Wild Things Are. I love reading comics.
The Hardy Boys series.
I like reading about horses.
JWB is proud to support the grade level reading campaign and the summer book bus for readers of all ages. We can't wait to do it all again next summer, spreading summer joy for kids and helping grow early readers into future leaders.
Oh, well, okay, there it works. Okay, so next up, through our Children's Mental Health Initiative led by Becky Albert and Marlena Satcher and other JWB staff, teamed up with St. Petersburg College for its College for Kids summer programming, which served children kindergarten through 8th grade. And this program occurred at St. Petersburg College campuses where kids from a number of Pinellas County schools attended. JWB partners led age-appropriate activities, as you can see, that incorporated hands-on project-based learning focused on promoting healthy habits. Activities included mindfulness movements, yoga, breathing activities to help everyone become calm and present. And then we had our Turbo Babies campaign led by Alicia Hinson along with Christina Quintana. As we saw, they were out in full force all throughout the summer, sharing supercharged messaging, keeping babies on track from birth through age 3. They were on the book bus. They attended back-to-school events. They participated in 10 parent education and resource events, including Bump to Baby Bash for expecting mothers. Honeywell volunteers joined here to prepare hundreds of pit crew bags that were to go out. And to wrap up the summer in August, Turbo Babies held a refueling party 2.0, where more than 70 partners came to kick off their school year to bring information, materials, and education to their staff and families. And whew, if that wasn't enough, I'm gonna turn this over for Yada to finish this.
Very busy summer. Back-to-school events, they are more than a school distributing school supplies. Our community engagement unit, we are a very small but mighty team. I want to acknowledge Kelly Roy and Joanne Rich, who alongside myself are there every single weekend from the last week in July to the second week in August. This means that we were covering multiple events on the weekends. We have 13 events. We interacted with and provided information to over 4,400 attendees. We strategically collaborated in collaboration with our community collaborations unit to distribute 1,500 food boxes and fresh produce. But we are very proud to show you we also debuted our JWB branded lunch boxes. And we distributed 2,500 of these lunch boxes. Inside the lunch boxes, we included JWB QR code. So every morning, as the parents are putting the breakfast, or they have a QR code where they can click and get to the JWB website to obtain information and resources that we have in the community. But we also included school supplies, cool items from our the Children Mental Health Initiative and Turbo Babies. We want to make sure that it's fun, but it also has a lot of information. Like Karen mentioned, we chose strategically 3 of the major back-to-school events, and we collaborated with our Childhood Hunger Initiative to bring food, boxes of food for each family. We also have Turbo Babies. We have the Mental Health Initiative, bringing information related to mental health. As you can see, the pattern is we are bringing resources to family in a fun, innovative way, collectively. More than school supplies, we are bringing hope, help, and support to our communities. From a child who so excited said, "This is the best day ever," when he received the school supplies and the lunchbox, to a youth who came to our table and described the lunchbox as vintage and cool. A family who recognizes us from the book bus, and our community councils right there who took time from their busiest schedule to pack 2,500 lunch boxes. As the slogan says in our lunch box, we are driving success in school and beyond. This effort is not only provide essential supplies, but also fostering stronger community connections. Looking ahead, we aim to expand our initiatives to reach even more families next year. Any question? We are here to answer.
Any questions and/or comments? Thank you for the update, ladies. Next, we will go to our CEO report by Ms. McCurry.
I've provided a list of the last 90 days that the team has really been working on for your review. I'm not going to go through all of those today at this meeting, or we'd be into the trim hearing. But I do have a couple of high-end, just a few things that I wanted to bring up to your attention. We celebrated National Book Day on September the 6th. The racetrack event for the read-along event, actually there were over 700 families that joined us at 3 libraries. We had a number of special guests that participated in this, Commissioner Latvala and his wife Bianca, who offered their support to the families and little ones in Clearwater. We had Christian Nage at the Largo site. Alicia McShay was at the St. Pete site. Additionally, we had also participating was the Clearwater Mayor, Bruce Rector, Largo Mayor, Woody Brown, and also as also a Pinellas County board member, Elaine Long, was also at Largo. Recently, just this past Saturday, there was a OST conference with over 350 out-of-school time staffers and professionals. I have to tell you that the presentations were amazing. And in fact, one gentleman I'd like to, at some point, have the board listen to. His name is Galen Elmore, ex-football player, who came to talk about something that he called belonging. And that would kind of, that really talks about how it wasn't just the education that he got. It was actually the people around him that made a difference. Now, I know some of you have heard a little bit about what I call the neighborhood, and I apologize for not bringing that out before. And it's something I've been working on for, probably 5 to 7 years. The neighborhood in itself is not a JWB-funded program in any way. What it really is looking to bring organizations, school systems part of it, to be part of it. It's looking to bring private funding from people like Irv Cohen, We've dug in, Cooley is on it as well. What we're really looking to try to do is find a place within the communities to start, but to really build, instead of everybody used to call the village, it's really a neighborhood. It's really how do we bring businesses and organizations together to provide the valued services to the community that also is positioning to provide education, provide training for, and starting at the early levels, could be as early as middle school. We're too early on in the process to have brought this up to you and say, here we've got, something to show, but I just want you to make sure you understand, it is not a JWB funded program, but we do have some of those people that might be involved would use our programs. And to me, if you look at it from a business perspective, it's better for us to pull together organizations to work as one, where we can better utilize funding, but not just from JWB, it's really from the community. What we're hoping to do as we expand it and grow, assuming we can get Kevin to identify how the curriculum might work, to be able to work with these organizations to actually go outside and fund it. I'll use Lellman as an example. If anybody looked at Lellman, you'll realize that there is a tremendous amount of manufacturing circling around Lellman. You'll also see a lot of car dealers and a lot of others who are all looking for technicians, for plumbers, for air conditioning and others. And they're gonna need to have ongoing staffing for the future. If we can create a neighborhood where people work together and where the community comes together, the grandparents, the great-grandparents, that tie in together with us, and we ensure that there's the services like medical, food nurturing, education, as well as outgoing training that could be given, we can bring those companies together and they'll fund the program. We're so early in the stages, so I didn't want to bring it to you before, but I heard a couple of board members who were concerned. I heard a little bit about it, and I just wanted to make sure you were aware that that's the program, and I would do it with or without you. I've done it, I've been working on it for a few years. I've just, luckily enough, beginning to find the right people, and JWB fits well. So that's what that is. We have some other things that are going on. I will actually be taping ABC Morning Blend tomorrow to talk about JWB and its 80 years of service and our focus on starting early at birth. I've also been recently named as a Bosses for Babies, and that'll be on October the 1st. Would love all of you to join that as well, as it'll be here. And we'll be having a breakfast here with other Bosses for Babies and talk about that program as it moves forward. There's a kids data center, which you'll all be hearing about, and I hope you'll be excited about it as much as I am. Our team has been working on this for years, and we now finally have a database that's being created or actually being installed that Michael Helveka is actually working on. It'll start using AI. It'll allow you to start to really look and deep dive into the areas of concerns, areas that we've seen, that we've been, looking to see how our funding is being used, looking to see what we've achieved, what we haven't achieved, where we can go. That's all coming out. It'll be presented at the KidsFirst luncheon, so you'll get your first real look at it. Finally, what I'd like to do is just to make a few announcements. As we talked about in the past, I was looking at the organization to look to see how the organization should fit the future of JWB, but also to see how we can really consolidate and focus on basically on the best use of taxpayer dollars. So let me start with what Robbie and I were talking about over time. Robbie was looking for a procurement officer. He was going to spend, correct me if I'm wrong, somewhere between $120,000. I asked Robbie, can we do this internally? We talked to Karen, we looked at our internal group and found that we have some amazing players here that could do that job. So what we've done is we've taken Elaine Melchiotti, hopefully I pronounced that right. Elaine is a director, and she will now become, she had oversight over the program administration, but now she'll be the Director of Procurement and Business Services Unit. Elaine will ensure that there's excellence in contract management, quality programming, procurement, risk management, and reporting. Kelly Grossman will be promoted to Senior Manager. And Kelly will work with Elaine as the Senior Manager of Procurement Programs and Business Services. Elaine will be now reporting to Robbie, and Elaine and Kelly will have their team will fall under the CFO, where in my mind should have been in the first place, where it provides the most value and allows Karen to really work on and focus in the area of operations. Alicia Henson, she has been a key player in Turbo Babies. We're going to promote Elisa to an associate manager and allow her to really focus in on and extend the role that she's been doing with Turbo Babies, and hopefully we're going to expand that and continue to grow that program. Finally, we talked about the CCO, which I didn't believe was a good position for us to have. I didn't see the value of it. So I continued to look, and I told you I'd come back. And so we've now created a new position, and a new position is actually the Chief Public Awareness Officer. And what the Chief Public Awareness Officer is, it will serve as an executive leader, responsible for shaping and leading organizations, public awareness, outreach, education strategies, and increase JWB's visibility, building public support, and mobilization. There's only one person that we have in this organization that could do that, and that is Becca Teeter. So she will now be promoted to that role as a Chief Public Awareness Officer. All of this, just so you, again, as you know, all of this was done within the budget of the funds that we had available that were there for our employees. And so there's nothing new that you'd have to look at. There's nothing extended to what we're going to be hearing in the trim hearing as we go forward. It's all part of what's already been in the budget. The rest you can read it at your leisure.
Any questions for Ms. McCurrack before I move forward? Great report. I have been tasked with doing the CEO Search Committee report due to the fact that Mr. Latvala had an emergency, and it is very brief. It says that the committee has elected to procure a firm. They were narrowed to 3. The committee will make their selection during our meeting, which is September the 26th. Any points of clarification can be addressed by our attorney, Ms. Colleen Flynn. And I swear to you, this is what this says. This is what this says.
Perfect, Colleen, you're there.
So any questions or concerns? And I see a bunch of lights, but I think Mr. Onk's light was first.
Just one quick question, Colleen. So I'm assuming that the committee's recommendation on the final firm to select will come to the board. They wouldn't select the firm themselves, is that right?
Well, that's a good question because you guys did not discern that when you gave them authority to go do the search. So that would be if the board does want to come back and make the final award between the 3 search firms, you could ratify their actions just like you ratify the finance committee actions, or you could allow them to just go ahead and do that. It's up to the
I don't want
board.
to micromanage their selection. I think from a budgetary perspective, they don't have authority to contract, in my opinion. So I would think that they would need to come back to us to get that contract approved.
The only reason to not do that would be the delay between them approving it Friday and then your October meeting. But if that doesn't bother anyone, we can put that as an agenda item on the October meeting, or you could give them pre-approval to a certain amount.
It's up to you all. I mean, the majority of people on the board are on the committee, right? So
We have 6 committee members, so we
Okay.
have 6 out of the 11 of you are on the committee.
I don't want to cause a delay, but I wouldn't think that a committee would have the ability to enter into a contract without the board approving it.
Our bylaws are silent on that since it's a committee of the board, but if you were following what the bylaws say with respect to the finance committee, those things do come back for ratification and approval by the board.
Mr. Bartlett?
Colleen, I'm kind of curious. So they're going to return with 3 search groups? that they're gonna have, they're gonna select for 3 search committees?
Yes, and so any of the other, the search committee can chime in. There were probably 7 that they started from. They narrowed it down to 3 on the paperwork and the information submitted, and those 3 came in Friday, 2 by Zoom, 1 in person, and they listened to all of those 3 groups on Friday.
To that end, I wanted to provide a little more background on what's going on in that search committee. So there are the 3 groups. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you done with your question?
No, I still, finishing up what I was gonna say. So we end up having to pay the search committees and everything for whatever it's gonna end up being.
Correct.
And, you know, it's, when we picked Mike to do this job, he didn't want to do it long-term, but I think his attitude has kind of changed. As he's gotten into it now, he, you know, feels gratified that he's accomplishing things and doing things. And I don't know where we're at on this thing, if it's possible to put it on hold and consider, you know, everybody reconsider at one of the next meetings, where he's at, if he wants to do that or not. I mean, we, you know, picked him before he was a known commodity, and, you know, I haven't seen personally myself anything that would suggest it was a mistake. It's just, everything's been to the contrary. So, I don't know procedurally how we'd go about doing that.
So procedurally, the board has the authority to hire or fire the CEO. The bylaws provide that the board hires, you can hire at 1 meeting with 7 yes votes, or you could hire at 2 meetings with 6 yes votes. The meetings have to be 2 weeks apart. So while you guys currently have tasked the search committee to do that, you guys could tell them to stop and do what you want, what the board wanted to do. That is within the board's purview. Just because they've started doesn't mean you can't stop what they've started.
Ms. Chia, you do have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Regarding the search firms that are on the table right now for vote on Friday, there is one that I had some concerns about that I brought up before, and we did see the presentations from the 3 on Friday, and I feel that this group, again, you know, reiterated their position on their intent to do DEI recruitments, which their written paperwork talks about, as well as the gentleman that came and made the presentation discussed the process of outreach specifically to certain groups of people and excluding other groups of people in that recruitment process. Now, while their documents say that obviously that doesn't necessarily mean that any of those individuals would be the one that are selected. As I've brought up before, from a compliance and ethics standpoint, I feel like we need to be at that higher standard of avoiding the appearance of impropriety or avoiding the appearance that this, whoever does succeed as the permanent CEO, is not in question to our legislature, governor, or to the public. So I would like to make a motion that at least before Friday or here today, that we remove SGR as one of the candidate companies and just move forward with selection of one of the other 2 on Friday.
I wasn't at Friday's meeting. Can I ask why this was not addressed at Friday's meeting? Or if it was addressed and we're bypassing what the committee had decided on Friday? Please update me.
We decided not to vote. Commissioner Latvala said we were going to pend the vote to this Friday so that you could participate. So we didn't really discuss that.
It was not brought up at that meeting, and I did notice that they said on there that they have hired a certain percentage of women in their past. I don't think there was a problem with highlighting how many women they've been achieved with highlighting. I didn't see a problem with that. They didn't specifically use the words DEI, so I think them just highlighting the type of people that they have hired in the past is relevant to what we have going on. I'm not done. The other thing that I wanted to mention in that regard is what we were talking about in that board meeting was having them criteria they gave us was 1 through 12 type thing, and the 1 through 4 was them bringing us candidates, and we had talked about basically us bringing them the candidates. So that part is really irrelevant, in my opinion. So I would not support that motion today. Thank you.
So, the discussion that I recall is that we were considering having them help with that recruitment. We weren't going to do a package like the big portfolio package that they do and do a national search, but they were still going to help with the advertising and recruitment process. And in the comments that the gentleman who presented it made, he specifically did say that their outreach includes specific networks of individuals for female candidates and for people of color specifically. So he did say that verbally, even though that was not in the written materials. So given the climate of Florida and the directives from our governor's office and the legislature and the expectation of taxpayers to not spend money in this regard, I feel we should just remove this vendor from consideration. We have 2 other viable vendors that there's not an issue with.
In the interest of completeness, I think what the presenter said was, if you care about that kind of thing, these are different locations where we do searches. And my interpretation of that part of his presentation was that, similar to what Ms. Rutland said, that he was highlighting that we do get candidates from these different areas, not necessarily that we're actively searching only in these specific areas. So I care not at all about the wording DEI or otherwise. I understand your concern, but I think that the characterization of it defining what the search would be is incorrect. So I also would oppose that motion.
Chief Milligan?
Yeah, I just want to comment, based on the fact that Mr. McCurrick is willing to stay on. We look at what he's done the last 90 days. He has made some incredible moves in the organization. As I said just before, when we were talking about putting something interim into this position and looking forward to doing a CEO search if that was necessary, which we found to be done, it's not good to continuously change the captain at the helm of the ship. You keep changing the captain, you keep upsetting the crew, you keep changing the way things work. It doesn't allow for a stable business atmosphere to continue on. I think he's done a great job, honestly, looking at what he's done. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that we should be wasting taxpayer dollars on a search group that's going to cost us tens of thousands of dollars looking for someone right now when it appears to me the ship is heading in the right direction. It's floating very well. We're making some great strides. We just saved some money just in employment alone and making these changes that he's done with the employees and promoting people and moving positions and eliminating positions. Our job is to save the taxpayers' dollars, right? So I just think that something we should consider is maybe put the search on hold and sit back and let's continue on the journey we're on right now, because we're moving full steam ahead at a great rate of speed and making some great changes that are saving taxpayer dollars currently.
Just by lights. Ms. Chia was first, and then you, Mr. Ox.
Thank you. Yes, thanks, Chief Milliken, for that. One of the issues that I had also when we first started this journey was paying for a search firm. We actually do have a diverse group of individuals who are interested in applying for the position, and we have recommended in the subcommittee to just simply announce it in the meeting, put it on the website, and have a very narrowed down scope outreach in order to allow these individuals who have expressed interest to participate in an open, transparent process for that particular position, which I think is what we had all agreed upon as well at the beginning of this, was to have an interim and then have a transparent process where other people could compete, which of course the interim could compete as well for that role. So that has been my recommendation and would still be my recommendation. I'd be totally fine with not hiring a search firm and we just move forward with known candidates in a more narrow scope. I think that would be acceptable.
Mr. Ongz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I agree with Mr. Bartlett and Chief Milliken that Mike has done an awesome job. He's done a great job. I'm very impressed and pleased with the level of information that he provides to me. I'm sure he does the same with all of you. And I think he's working really hard. And that's shown in his report and just through the things that we're seeing. I do think that, my understanding when he applied was that he wasn't going to apply for the full-time position. I think he should absolutely be allowed to apply for the full-time position. I definitely would want to make sure we had him as an option. I do think it's somewhat unfair to just give him the position without allowing other people to apply. And I think that was something that a lot of board members struggled with initially who, had never been involved. So whether we do a search or not, I think we should at least allow for some period of time for applications, just so we can consider, if there's anybody else out there. And I don't think we should be making any of those decisions today, obviously. I think the point of this item is an update. I appreciate the update. I do think, why don't we let the committee have their meeting on Friday, put it on the agenda for October, and then the board can take an action on either hiring a search firm or not, hiring Mr. McCurrack or not, or opening up to other applicants. And I think that'd be the more organized way to do it for the public and for everybody else. And that would be my thought.
Thank you for that suggestion, Mr. McCurrack.
Yeah, I just want to, again, clarify, when I received the phone call, I was in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea and asked if I would run. Kind of hard to say whether I would run for more than an interim or not. I was answering, yes, I would be more than happy to step in and support the organization as I have for the past 11 years. So I'm not sure how that was portrayed. It's probably not important as to whether or not whoever said that I was not interested. Again, I was in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, somewhere between France, Spain, and Italy. So if that was a misunderstanding, I don't know how I could apologize for it, because again, I was on a cell phone in the middle of the Mediterranean. But regardless of that, I would be willing and to assume the role, continue the role. It is I have to just be honest with you all. It is a bit difficult to, which means I have a lot of explaining every time I have a conversation with somebody about the interim versus being the CEO. We get by it, but we do have that. So just wanted to give you that information.
As a member of the search committee and as the current chair, one thing is we will operate in excellence and we will operate in transparency, and I assure you guys that. I will take all of the recommendations from one, taking away to committee search to the suggestion just hiring Mr. McCurrack, to everything that has been put forth here. We will discuss that on Friday. And again, I do want, and I'm not the chair of that committee, I'm speaking as if maybe I am, but he had me to read this, so what I can assure is that, one, we will take everything it is that you have brought to the committee, and hopefully we will do what the board as a whole wants us to do in this process. One of the things that we did discuss, and I think it was maybe our second meeting, because I think it had come up, your suggestions had come up, and we were concerned with transparency, and we were concerned when we put it out there, we said that it would be an interim position, and we didn't want anyone, i.e. the public and the taxpayers, to think that we were operating behind closed doors and not allowing everyone to put in. Mr. McCurrack has done an excellent job, and I do agree with all the assessments. I will take this back to the chair, and we will see where we land from every one of these ideas that have come up and suggestions that have come up today. I still have the floor. What am I thinking? Next, we will move on to do we have any reports from any cards from the floor? We have informational items. Does anyone from the board want to touch on any of the informational items? I know we have the norm, but okay. That being said, we will go to our milestones.
All right, we've got a pretty big list here because we're covering July and August. And once again, if I screw up your name, I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. So for July anniversaries, we have Linda Olmida, 1 year, Tessa Burnsid, 3 years, Carolyn Brink, 4 years, Jennifer Manick, 6 years, April Pazulu, 12 years, Shannon Cohen Phillips, 20 years, Daniel Hines, 23 years, who's going to be our top staying guy here. Morgan Wood in August, 1 year, Gail Cox, 2 years, Kristen Curley, 2 years, Tawanda Johnson, 3 years, Michael Helveka, 8 years, Joanne Wright, 8 years, Stephen Bailey, 9 years, and Deandra Dula, 11.
Congratulations.
So,
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So ordered.
don't we got to come back to the 5:30? Yeah.
Not really come back, just stretch your legs for 20 minutes.
Yeah.